Welcome everyone to the Q4 2021 State of NAIFA webinar. It is my pleasure to introduce NAIFA President, Tom Michael.
Thank you, Zach. And hello, NAIFA Nation. And a good morning and a good afternoon, wherever you may be calling in, and thank you. Thank you for joining us for this final 2021 State of NAIFA. As usual, I am joined and will be followed by our CEO, Kevin Mayhew. And then after Kevin, we are very fortunate to have one of our stalwarts in government relations, Ms. Judy Carzod, who will be joining us to give us updates on the very fluid happenings that's going on in Capitol Hill. No matter what you heard yesterday or what you even read this morning, chances are good something's changed. So stay tuned for that. Before Kevin and Judy, and before some brief highlights of the last quarter since we met in July, please allow me to make some more general comments if you don't mind. I've said it in every call we've had, and that's a good thing, that the state of NAIFA is excellent. And you've also heard this one too. Ladies and gentlemen, our plan is working. Over the last quarter, the Office of the President has been able to get out finally and visit or talk to a number of states and affiliates, whether it be the state of Washington, North or South Dakota, Texas, Jersey, California, Carolinas, and the list goes on. I'm here to tell you that excitement is abounding, enthusiasm is high. As I have alluded to all year, change is never easy, but I really know it's worth it. Progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. But all of you have changed for the better. Sure, no doubt about it. Change creates some conflict. But I'm often reminded of the words of Robert F. Kennedy, who said, progress is a nice word, but change is the motivator. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this association has changed for the better. And that is why I am so proud to represent you. While many associations and frankly, parts of our economy are struggling due to the pandemic, NAIFA is thriving. The new NAIFA is producing positive results. And the energy, well, frankly, it's contagious. The membership numbers continue to trend in the right direction. The new advisor program with tiered dues has remarkable retention. Sponsorship and financial support continues to chalk up great results. Just this quarter, Northwestern Mutual joined the likes of New York Life and Mass Mutual and Emeritus and One America and Principal and Guardian and Prudential, State Farm, Ohio National, our esteemed colleagues at ACLI, and so many others in supporting our efforts. Since 2017, we have doubled not only the companies supporting NAIFA, but also the amount received. More states, chapters, and affiliates are taking advantage of our simplified, unified message. And the reason behind all this, it really has a common theme. We like where NAIFA's going, and we like what NAIFA's doing. It's really a very exciting time as NAIFA now looks at its very bright future. We'll look at the future in a second, but let's take a look at the last quarter. New slide, if you don't mind. Thank you, Zach. Since we met, under President-elect Larry Holtzberg's volunteer leadership and his phenomenal conference team, and our Vice President, Elena Fiallo, and her team, we put together another very successful virtual conference in August. Next slide, if you don't mind. I hope you were one of the hundreds that had the opportunity to hear our keynote speakers, Dana Perino, Holly Hoffman, and Jason Hewlett. They were phenomenal, and we've received rave reviews. But with all due respect, we really can't wait to do this in person next August in Phoenix at the prestigious Arizona Biltmore. And then, as we go to the next slide, how about Advisor Today? I think you all know that we've resurrected this magazine. And did you know that 55,000 people affiliated with our industry now receive our publication? You should have all received or recently or will soon receive our third publication, the Fall Winter Edition, with a picture of our esteemed Board of Trustees. We actually had our first in-person board meeting in over a year and a half in August, and it was very, very productive. I know there's a place for Zoom going forward, but I think I'm not telling you anything you don't know. There's just no substitute for in-person discussion and debate. Now, one of the features of Advisor today is building recognition for chapters and individuals. In this month's edition, we focus on NAIFA, New Mexico, under the leadership of their exec, Linda Turner, and such leaders like our trustee, April Lynn Geisler. NAIFA, New Mexico deserves the attention it's getting here in the magazine. You keep it up, NAIFA, New Mexico. You really are our land of enchantment. And moving on and looking forward, the National Leadership Conference. Well, I hope by now you've heard about our upcoming National Leadership Conference. It's just under 6 weeks away. As most of you know, we are doing this celebration in coordination with our government relations training, and it is to celebrate all that is NAIFA. Next slide will show you what we're going to celebrate. We will announce the winners to such prestigious honors as the Yacht Leader of the Year, our Diversity Champion, NAIFA 4 Under 40 recipients, the National Quality Award, our new award for NAIFA PAC Excellence, the Terry Headley Lifetime Defender Award, and last but definitely not least, the industry's highest honor, the John Newton Russell Award. And while we're doing all that, the next slide will show you that we're going to have highly acclaimed and former White House chef Marty Mangiello. He's going to be joining us to prepare our meals. Registration is very strong for this event, so don't be left out. And please join us for the celebration of what NAIFA is all about. However, if you can't make it, you will be missed. But if you're not there, we will be doing a live stream, as it says here, so you can be a part of it and see the swearing in of all our new chapter presidents and so much more. So one way or the other, put it on your calendar. December 6th and 7th, National Leadership Conference. I'll be back to close, but for now, it's my pleasure to introduce the gentleman that makes every president look better, our CEO, Mr. Kevin Mabe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate you all joining us here today. Like our president said, NAIFA has a plan, and we are working that plan. And because of that plan, we are making progress as an enterprise from state to state all across this country, and of course, at the federal level. We've got a lot going on in NAIFA. I'm glad you guys could hear our update today. Our strategic plan, as we've talked about before, was not developed just by our board or just by our staff, but by a cross section of NAIFA leaders from all across this country. Industry leaders, association leaders, others that are involved in the financial security profession, all coming together and saying, how can we make NAIFA even more impactful on behalf of this entire industry and this great profession? And with it, we came up with the NAIFA 2025 strategic plan. But in order to have a plan be impactful, you've got to implement it. And so what we did was we took that plan that was developed by you and our leaders across this country, and we built out 5 different years of business implementation plans for each year of the NAIFA 2025 plan. And so we've been working hard this past year, executing on the 2021 business implementation plan. The 2025 plan focuses on 3 core goals: growing our membership, amplifying our brand, and enhancing our member experience at all parts of NAIFA, all across this great country. Is to make sure that we are accountable to you and we're being transparent in the work that we do. We also publish a quarterly enterprise accountability report. The latest edition for Q3 of 2021 went out last week, so you all should have received it. But this is a way for us to report back to you, our members, on the progress that we're making implementing that plan. The good things, the successes we got, the shortcomings and the obstacles that we encountered, and what our plan is for the quarter ahead to make sure that we stay on track for implementing the strategic plan that you, our membership, put in place. Our strategic plan and our business implementation plans each year are posted for everyone to see on our website. We don't keep our plans hidden. We believe in being transparent in what we do. And so they're available for all of our members, prospective members, industry leaders, the media, and other stakeholders to see where's NAIFA heading? How are we going to get there? And how are we going to measure our success? So again, if you haven't seen the Q3 Enterprise Accountability Report, check your email. It went out last week, and review our progress and see where we're heading in the quarter ahead. We've done an awful lot over the course of the past year, and we've talked about what our scope of work was going to be and some of our major deliverables. As far as activities are concerned, you see on the slide in front of you the work that we've done this year to make sure that we serve our members exceptionally well, especially during COVID and as we get a transition out of COVID. The first is back in March, we held our Business Performance Center Impact Week. Then after that, we followed it by a DEI Impact Week. Then we had our congressional conference, which again, we did virtually in 2021, much like we did in 2020 in May. Then that went to our Performance Plus Purpose conference that Tom talked about that we put on back in August. In September, we had a Future Leaders program, which could encourage new folks to join the profession, to get some bright up and coming talent to be part of this noble industry. Just last month, we held our Advanced Practice Center Week in conjunction with our partners at the Society of Financial Services Professionals. Absolutely tremendous work that was done there. In November, coming up in just another week, we're holding our LECP, our Limited Extended Care Planning Center, is holding its Long-Term Care Impact Week. And then as Tom mentioned, we've got our celebration of the successes that we've had this past year, an opportunity to recognize our volunteer leaders, recognize our members for their tremendous success, and put in place our plans for 2022 at our National Leadership Conference to be held in Washington, D.C., December 5th through the 7th. As we move into 2022, we're also building our business implementation plan for the new year. Again, further advancing the tenets of the 2025 strategic plan through our work in 2022. So in order to make a plan implementable as well, you've got to have a budget and resources behind it. You've got to sequence your work properly. You've got to report back like we're doing through those quarterly reports back to you, our members and our key stakeholders. And you've got to make sure that you've got some goals and metrics around success. And so that's what we're doing again for 2022 to make sure all parts of the NAIFA enterprise are properly aligned. And we're working at the local, the state, and at the national levels, advancing NAIFA forward as our strategic plan envisions that we do. So look forward to receiving our 2022 business implementation plan, which should be finalized before the end of this year and available starting at our National Leadership Conference in early December. And then as Tom mentioned, nothing quite beats the opportunity for us to get together face to face. And I am so pleased that we're going to be able to do that as a large enterprise of NAIFA leaders at our annual conference, which we've called Performance Plus Purpose, but it might get a little bit of a rebranding for next year. But it'll be August 16th through the 18th at the Arizona Biltmore Hotel in Phoenix, Arizona. Mark those dates on your calendars. Hope you can join us for this. For those of you familiar with the Biltmore, it is a world-class property that has hosted kings and presidents and everyone who just loves Frank Lloyd Wright architecture. I'm one of those that's one of his fans. But more importantly, it's an opportunity for all of us to get together as we emerge post-COVID and get back together as the NAIFA family to celebrate, to learn, to grow, to be motivated, and then to go back and do great work. So hopefully you'll be able to join us August 16th to the 18th, 2022 at the beautiful Arizona Biltmore in Phoenix. Now I'd like to send it over to Judy, who's going to give us an update on what's going on the government relations front. Judy?
Hey, thanks, Kevin. So happy to be here. There is a lot going on in Washington, D.C. right now. If we go to the first slide, there is a bill called Reconciliation. It's the Build Back Better Act. It is a special bill that only requires a simple majority to pass. It is full of bad ideas, many that impact NAIFA members and certainly NAIFA clients, including corporate and individual tax increases, income and capital gains. And as Tom said at the top of the call, yesterday, corporate tax increases were likely to be included. Today, there's discussion that there may not be corporate tax increases because one senator from Arizona does not want to see them. So we have the ability maybe to skate away from a few of the scary things that are in this bill. The estate tax exemption could be reduced. There's all kinds of proposals, none written, no drafts of any of the wealth taxes that Senate Finance Committee is working on. Senator Wyden is talking about finishing those this week at the same time that Democrats are actually talking about finishing both the bipartisan infrastructure bill and this reconciliation bill. Most of us think that that can't happen, but that is the conversation coming from Democrats. As a result, we have upped our activity with all members of Congress, urging them to remove a few of these bad ideas because there are unintended consequences. They're not well thought out. They're drafted to meet these tricky reconciliation rules that are required in the Senate. And so we're working hard to see what kinds of fixes we can get. We've covered this material really well in the past. There's a 30-minute briefing available. In a couple minutes, we're going to show you a slide where you can find that. So I don't have time to go into all of it today, but know that NAIFA is very engaged in all of the parts of the reconciliation bill, both the good ideas and the bad ideas, and in contact with the lawmakers. If we go to the next slide, there are a few fixes that that come our way. Democrats are negotiating amongst themselves. Senator Manchin from West Virginia, very conservative Democrat, has said he can't do 3.5 trillion. It can't be more than 1.5 trillion. And so the conversations that we've been having, and I met with Chairman Neal of the Ways and Means Committee last week, was do a couple of things well. Don't confuse business by doing a lot of things and having them expire or sunset early. That is not a good way for businesses to be able to predict and rely upon legislation. And I know that that is their goal. I don't see that that's happening. And again, there's very much that is unclear. They are currently negotiating amongst themselves because there will be no Republicans that vote for this reconciliation bill. They need all 50 Democrats in the Senate, and they can lose just a couple in the House. So we're expecting that Dems are saying that that vote could happen by Halloween. We don't think October 31st is realistic, but if we go to the next slide and we talk about what can you do, or what, oh, sorry, Zach, can you go one more slide forward for a moment for me? There's a lot of things that we can do. Our Advocacy Action Center is up. It's got talking points on the reconciliation package. We sent out the October GovTalk with the link to that Action Center so you can get involved yourselves. You just put in your home zip code. It will bring up your lawmakers, and you can write a message that talks about what you don't like that's in this bill and how it will impact you and your clients. And there's additional news on the Advocacy Action blog. So a lot of resources here for you. We've been covering the topic, and we've been working with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. But again, the reconciliation package is a Dem-only bill. And then if we could go back a slide and switch gears completely. I know that you won't believe it, but the Department of Labor is at it again. The Department of Labor would like to again consider redefining who is an investment advice fiduciary when working with both retirement plans and with IRAs. In spite of the fact that NAIFA was one of the litigants in the court case that the rule was vacated in its entirety, the DOL staff is relatively the same and is circling back around. It's quite possible that they will eliminate what we call the insurance prohibited transaction exemption. They are looking at making all recommendations to roll over to an IRA to be fiduciary in nature. Their interpretation is that if you make a recommendation to sell an annuity in a rollover, that there's an anticipation that you will have another conversation or offer more suggestions in the future, and that would make it advice on an ongoing basis, which is one of the definitions of a fiduciary arrangement. NAIFA is working this really, really well. Again, we have weekly meetings with industry partners in a coalition. We're working and we need your help on one part. One of the responsibilities that we have in trying to thwart what the DOL is doing and to be able to convince them that the marketplace has changed significantly from when they first started this rulemaking almost 10 years ago. And one of the things that we're tasked with doing is bringing your stories about how you do things differently, that Reg BI has changed how your policies and procedures, that the way you engage with clients is clear and concise, that consumers have more protections. I know you've always worked in clients' best interest, but that is actually the standard now as opposed to suitability. And so I've put my email address up here and my phone number. I welcome, if not flat out beg, you to send me stories or comments about how you do business differently when you're working with retirement plans and with IRA rollover clients, so that we can help convince the Department of Labor that everything is taken care of. They can just stop and let the industry use the rules that have been put in place over the last 10 years, and that we can move forward and that we can make sure that middle and small account balance retirees have access to choices and advice, and that they would not be ignored because of harsh Department of Labor regulations and rules, and without exemptions to allow commission kinds of products. So we're working it hard. We expect something from the Department of Labor at the end of the year, or maybe the first of the year. It is on their agenda, and they're being consistent in their interpretation that everything should be fiduciary. And while we don't oppose fiduciary when acting as a fiduciary, there are times when folks are selling products and receiving commissions that should not be subject to fiduciary rules. And with that, I welcome questions too. I will turn this back to my fellow Californian, Tom Michael, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. And thank you, Kevin and Judy. Thanks for bringing us up to date. And I think you can see how important it is that all of you stay on top of all this very fluid situation. Our input now is as important as it ever has been. And as she just outlined, there's a number of things staring us in the face that we've got to confront head on. As we discussed, this is the last State of the NAIFA call for 2021. And so lucky for you, that means it's your last call with yours truly. Next year, our organization will pass the baton to our president-elect, Mr. Larry Holtzberg. I think most of you know Larry. I've had the pleasure of working with Larry for a number of years, and you are in very good hands. I just want to say thanks. Thanks for being a part of this organizational success story that I believe our history books will shine a light on. We have 2 months to still go, but we have done so much. At the 10,000 foot level, we've wrapped up our strategic plan, NAIFA 2020, and embarked on NAIFA 2025, as Kevin just outlined. And at ground level, there's been change, as I mentioned all the time, in every aspect of our organization. And I've probably drilled the word change too far, but it is difficult. But you, my friends, you embraced it. And the industry has noticed. It's noticed all the way up to the finest boardrooms in this industry. Coming together is a behavior. Keeping together is a process. Working together is success. And you've worked together and our success has just begun. You see, the tide's turned. The tide has turned. It's obvious at every level of this 131-year-old organization. You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, and you did not stand on the sidelines. You make progress by implementing new ideas, and implement we have done. And we continue with our current business implementation plan that Kevin just outlined. It's the little things. And our wonderful government relations team and staff, they have kept us the leading advocacy organization in our space. And it's never been more evident now as we confront all that Judy has outlined and so much more. But in addition to that, we have become a thriving sales and marketing organization where the advisor can learn, grow, and find new levels of success. The phrase, "we keep you in business while helping you build your business," has probably never been truer. So let's keep walking down this path together because our best days are ahead of us. I want this organization to be at the forefront of this industry for another 131 years and then some. And if there's a bump in the road, you know what, that's okay, because that's just proof that we're trying. Let's continue the optimism and the enthusiasm that I hope are the two words that are affiliated with my tenure as NAIFA's president. Optimism is essential for achievement at every level, in every department. Optimism is the foundation of the courage it takes to succeed. And what will continue is true progress. And I've said it before, the difference between mediocrity and true success is bona fide enthusiasm. The power of the pin is just a symbol of our enthusiasm. Wear that pin proudly. When someone in the airport asks me about my pin, they better be ready for 10 minutes of an association love story. We represent one of the greatest professions in the world, and we make a difference in people's lives on a daily basis. You are the fabric of NAIFA. You, my colleagues, and the work that you do are why I bleed NAIFA blue. So thank you, not only for the opportunity to have served you as NAIFA's president, because it's been an honor of a lifetime, but yet we still have 2 months to go. So let's step on the gas. Let's step on that membership gas, and let's support our government relations team when they need us most. We can do this, because together we can do anything. My wishes to all of you for the happiest of Thanksgivings and a great holiday season. Thank you, and God bless.